Borderlands 3 has been out for a little bit. I know this is, late, but I wanted to give some of my thoughts on the game. I'm a fan of the Borderlands series, dating back to my days of solo farming Cromarax on my Siren, hoping for top tier items. I've played most of the DLC for both games, although it's been a long time since I've played Borderlands 2. In fact, the last time I tried to play Borderlands 2 was with a squad of my clanmates about 2 years ago. We made it 2 sessions in before we got bored and stopped playing. I played Borderlands 3 with the Dream Team, otherwise known as Mr. Fruit, Robbie B, and Blue Westlow, playing as Moze, while we had an Amara and 2 people on Flak. We played through the entire campaign, doing a lot of side missions along the way, ending our campaign run at level 43, give or take, around 20 to 25 hours. After grinding to level 47, I then booted up true Vault Hunter mode with some friends, was fed some spare level 50 legendary items that my friends picked up, got to 50 very quickly, and we started rampaging through the campaign on Mayhem 2, turning it up to Mayhem 3 very shortly afterwards, and really only getting slowed down by certain specifically adjectively named enemies. True Vault Hunter mode is essentially New Game Plus, and Mayhem modes 1, 2, and 3 ramp up the game's difficulty even more, but boosts your chances for loot. Gearbox did nerf loot drop rates recently though, quite noticeably. Legendaries used to rain from the sky, and now I feel like I'm lucky to get 2 in the same run of anything that I do. We're a Destiny crowd here, so I'm just going to compare the weapons. Legendary items are basically exotics in Destiny, but imagine if Destiny got to be way more creative with exotics in terms of their effects, while also not having to worry about balance, world first, being a live service game, or anything in between. My favorite gun for a while was Kill-A-Wisp, which shot out slow-moving electric balls that shocked everything in their path. The game started slow for me because weapons weren't that interesting, but as soon as some legendaries started dropping, I started having much more fun. I played on PC, and my performance at launch was not great, although this did not have a large impact on my enjoyment of the game. I have a 1080 Ti, and I was hovering in the high 50s to high 60s in frame rate for the most part, while also streaming on the same computer. When my team tried really hard to tank frame rates by using certain weapons and abilities at the same time, my frame rate got as low as 16 FPS. Granted, that's not going to happen every single time crazy stuff is happening, but there are plenty of times where my FPS took a big hit into the 40s and even high 30s. PC performance definitely needs some love, and Gearbox knows it already, and they might have already done something, I'm not actually sure. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it should be this. Borderlands 3 is Borderlands brought into 2019 and not a hell of a lot more. I've seen this echoed in so many other reviews that I've watched that I contemplated even speaking my own mind about the game because it's just been repeated a million times already. It is also not a live service game like Destiny, Division, Warframe, etc. It will get some DLC and some updates with said DLC, but it doesn't work like those other games. Now granted, there have been plenty of improvements to Borderlands. Multiple planets, environments, and destinations, fun as hell legendary weapons, gunplay improvements. To someone who hasn't played Borderlands in a very long time though, this doesn't really seem like an evolution of what Borderlands is, but rather a large refinement. Borderlands knows what it is, it knows what it wants to be, and it achieves that goal pretty wholeheartedly. You can still expect the crazy weapons, boss stomping builds, similar writing, I've been told Borderlands 2 writing is better, and tone of the game, and story, and whatever else you might associate Borderlands with. If you're expecting gunplay and shooting as smooth as Destiny, I'm not sure you're going to find it here. It's definitely better than Borderlands 2, but it's not flawless. I wasn't the hugest fan of some of the scopes that I would find on guns because they just took up so much of your screen real estate, and I ended up hip-firing a lot of my guns as a result. Not that that's a bad thing. Target acquisition, on the other hand, oh my god. I used my mini-map more times than looking just directly in front of me to find enemies, simply because they blended into the background stupidly easily, and I just could not find targets a lot of the time. Speaking of not being able to find things, menus and UI. Not amazing. The amount of times that I got baited by the waypoint quest marker sending me flying into a wall or a dead end instead of the actual objective was too many times to count. You know how Destiny has a marker that will lead you where you need to go in small chunks and checkpoints? Borderlands needs that. And the sad thing is, it has it, but it's only used a handful of times, and that's it. Navigation was brutal sometimes, with certain checkpoints only showing up when you're in specific zones on the planet, but not when you're in your home base, leading to moments of confusion during campaign missions or side quests. Also, real quick, for a game that has you replay missions, the fact that you can't skip cutscenes... Hello? Skip when? Boss fights were hit or miss. A lot of them had really cool arenas and really cool music and themes, but some of them just sort of fell flat for me because they just amounted to shoot the thing in the face until dead, and not a whole lot else. My favorite boss fights were the ones that actually made you do something, and my favorite boss fight, the boss fight that made you do the most something, was a little more than halfway through the game. In order to not spoil it completely, I'll say that it's the Penn and Teller boss. Easily the best one in the entire game, in my opinion. Obviously, with this being a Destiny channel and all, I had a lot of questions about Borderlands Endgame and would I recommend Borderlands 3, and would you compare this game to Destiny, and blah 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 blah, and here's what I'll say about all of that. The endgame, and the main fun, I think, of Borderlands 3 comes from shooting crazy legendary weapons at enemies, powering yourself up to the max with talents and skills that work the way you want them to, and absolutely destroying everything around you anywhere you go. There are no explicit goals in the endgame. There isn't a post-game campaign besides True Vault Hunter mode, aka New Game Plus, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a Destiny, it's not a Warframe, whatever. It's not a live service game, and Borderlands and Destiny should just not be compared to each other with regards to their endgame goals, because they're just not the same. But how long you engage with the game after finding your best gear, builds, weapons, it completely depends. For me, it's kind of like Monster Hunter World. Once I had all the gear and the weapons that I wanted, I had my fun absolutely destroying things with my friends, and then I felt done. Borderlands for me sang that exact same tune. I got the stuff that I wanted, I had my fun, and I was good. I also kind of ran out of time with the game, as I had other things that I had to do, otherwise I would have fit in a few more play sessions with my friends. Would I recommend Borderlands 3 to people who like Borderlands 1 and 2 and are looking for more? You probably already have the game at this point, absolutely. As long as you know that you shouldn't expect much evolution from 2 to 3. Again, Borderlands 3 is Borderlands brought into modern day. If you want more Borderlands, then this is as more Borderlands as you could possibly get. In general, I would recommend the game, especially if you have a group of friends to play with. I'm usually anti-solo on these kind of games, but you'll still have fun playing solo, and solo character builds do exist here. If you've never played a Borderlands game, you could start playing with 3. The story is somewhat self-contained with the Calypso twins and everything, but a lot of the characters in Borderlands 3 have their backstories built in Borderlands 2, some even in Borderlands 1, so you would be missing out on that aspect. But you're going to have the most fun with the gameplay parts of the game, so take that for what you will. I did have a fair amount of issues with certain aspects of the game, but the actual gameplay part, the shooting guns and blowing everything up, is real good fun when you're fully kitted out, and even if you're not, and that's what most people, I imagine, are there to play. That's all I got on Borderlands 3. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.